Yo boys, we're back with another solo leveling Rise video, and today we're going to be doing Igris. Igris tier 8 of the Instance Dungeon. Now, of course, first off, I'm going to just go straight into my character, Sun Jin Woo, because as you know, Instance Dungeons, they are with your MC, who is Sun Jin Woo, right? I'm going to show you what skills I use on him and why I'm using them. So first up, I have the Vital Strike. Of course, Vital Strike does more damage dealt to bosses and elite monsters. It is an epic rune, so I mean, do keep in mind that your skills might be slightly different than my skills. If you do have this one, I'd probably recommend using this one over all the other ones. Then my second skill is Commander's Touch. Now, the only reason I'm using this is for the defense down, just in case if there's no defense down applied and then my character supports are on cooldown, then I can apply defense down, right? But necessarily, I don't even use this like 95% of the time, so it's not a necessity. So if you do not have Vital Strike, then of course, if you have Vital Strike and then one other skill to do damage, they can compensate just for Vital Strike alone. And then your ultimate skill, of course, is going to be Truth Mutilate because it has higher damage modifiers than, of course, Shadow Tragedy. So I think it would be better to just showcase it on the screen. Hold up. It would actually be way better to showcase on the screen. Give me one moment. All right. So I'm going to do 4 because I haven't done my dailies yet, so I want to get it out the way, and I figured that I might as well just record this real quick, you know? Show people what's going on and how I fight this boss. Now, this is not like a guide for tier 8. This is just a guide on Igris overall. All right. So this is just standard. You're obviously going to have your shadows. I'm using Igris because, of course, I want the extra crit. And then I just have the other 2 shadows. They're not super important. You just kind of want Igris. But the other shadows do help. As I believe Tank, he does stun. So he's actually really nice to have. So I have him on the team because it's a free stun whenever the enemy doesn't have super armor. For weapons, now obviously my weapons, obviously they're kind of juiced, right? Like I have Plum with 3 dupes, okay? But you do not need Plum with 3 dupes, okay? This is not a necessity. You can use anything. Previously, before Plum, I was using Tome and Scythe. Tome and Scythe. I would freeze with Tome and then just go straight into Scythe, right? Because of course the boss is weak to dark, and that naturally you're gonna want to attack him with dark weapons because I mean, why wouldn't you? Your basic attacks and core attacks should be dark all the time versus this boss. So you can disregard the plum. Of course, in this, showcase guide or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to be using plum because, of course, why would I make it difficult for myself if I have the resources? But I'm just saying you don't need plum. You just need scythe. You don't necessarily need anything else. Other weapons help if you have other weapons that can expand on your scythe, then the better, right? Like if it increases your damage output, good. But you just have to make sure that you are attacking with your scythe skill last. That way you're attacking in, with dark attacks. And scythe is free, so there should be no excuses whatsoever. You just do your challenges and you'll eventually get 2 of them, even with a dupe in it. So it doesn't even matter that I have 2 dupes, because I did this previously before I had this extra dupe that I had gotten recently, right? Now, as far as levels on the weapons, I do not know how much you would want to have for a tier 8, but like I said, this isn't for a guide for tier 8. This is just a guide for Igris overall, whether you're on lower tiers or even on tier 8. I'm just saying overall. Now, my Sung Jin Woo, aside from his skills that we spoke about earlier, these are his artifacts. Now I'm running Skeleton because it's super easy to get this insane damage output. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like you don't have to have like the best rolls or anything in them. Like you can see, some of them are good, right? And then some of them are kind of like whatever, right? They're kind of meh. Like they don't have any subs or anything. They're kind of whatever. You just really want the set effect, and then if you have any that have attack percent or additional attack, just level those up so that way you can bring up your raw stats for damage. Because in this fight, you're mainly going to be dodging most of it. So now you have the 4 set effective skeleton. You're probably going to want this one. This is going to make your life 10 times easier. You can use Behemoth, but then you're gonna need a lot more damage output because now you have to bring the boss to at least 70% of his total HP, I believe. Let me check just to be safe. I believe they had to be like 70% or something like that. Yeah, they have to be at 70% just for a 20% damage increase. You're better off just running Skeleton, so that way you can straight off the bat just take the first 2 hits that he does, and then already you have the damage dealt increase buff or whatever. It's way better. It's more reliable and consistent than Behemoth, and it doesn't waste you time too much time as Behemoth does, right? Because then basically you're carrying a dead set until you drop it to 70%, and then you only get 20% damage dealt. So naturally, just use Skeleton. Trust me, Skeleton's much better. It's probably the best one out of all the sets, if you know how to dodge and of course manage your HP. As for sets, you don't necessarily need anything crazy. I'm using Black Lines because that's what I have, and like there's plenty of other options. Like if you're using a crit set, you're completely fine using the crit set. You're even fine using the break set if you break the boss fast enough. And then of course you have the ult skill set. Now I haven't did a full testing on if it's good for Sung Jin Woo or not, because I Sung Jin Woo, I feel like for him to get his energy for his ult is very slow. So his ultimate skill cooldown wouldn't even matter realistically. You'd probably only use the 2 set of the ultimate skill set, and then maybe use a 2 set of another set. Maybe like the crit set or anything else of the sort. It's nothing too crazy. Like I said, you don't have to have a specific type of set to actually do this. Now, of course, granted, I'm using the Black Lines because I do like the ignore 15% of the target's defense and attacks. It makes my life easier. So yeah, you can do the same, of course, as well. And then just use what you got. Realistically, just use what you got. I know I invested a lot into a lot of these, but not all of them are the best, right? Not all of them are the best. The damage reduction, you see crit hit damage. So like if I'm not critting, this is not even proccing some of the times. It doesn't have to be the best thing. Now for stats overall, though, this is a whole different story. Now I just straight pumped strength. You guys do not have to do this. You do not have to straight pump strength. Just use what you got. But personally, I think strength is the most valuable stat out of everything else. Like strength and agility. But in my case, I don't think I would go after agility because personally, I feel like you could get enough crit rate later on down the line if you just get the subs for it. It's very easy to get to the subs for your crit, because I believe 50% is the max crit rate that you can achieve in the game. I don't think it goes higher. I could be wrong on this. Someone correct me if so. But a lot of people have been telling me, and I haven't fully checked. And I probably could, and I probably should. But I've been told that it's at 50% from people who play the game very frequently and very often and do a lot of testing and stuff. So I kind of take their word for it, right? As for blessing stones, you do not need these blessings. Previously, when I had first did tier 8 or any of the other tiers, I was using daily quest completion. In some cases, it's nice, but if you have any blessings that give you damage, use it. This is also really nice, weakness detection, because then you're constantly doing damage to him because you're trying to attack him with dark attacks anyways. This is really good. And then yeah, just use whatever else you got. The blessings aren't of super importance. I'm using these because they're my best ones, right? They're my best ones. But like you don't need them. They're not a necessity to do the Igris. Alright, now that I've been yapping away just on that, I'm gonna just talk about the characters and why I chose these characters. Now naturally, a damage taken character. I can't stress this enough. Giving a damage taken character on your team is amazing. Now, of course, you don't have to use a damage taken character if you don't want to. You can use another DPS character, right? But I feel like in this case, when he is a support character, Min shines better than a DPS character because the debuff that you place on them that increases damage taken lasts much longer, and you'll do much more damage overall than just having a support DPS. So Min, you want him on your team. If you got Libora, you want her on your team, right? Libora or Min. Libora the best because obviously the boss is weak to dark. So using Libora gives you an advantage. Your second character has to be a break character. You need a break character. Hold up, wait, actually I gotta here's my Igris 8. team, right? So you need a break character. In my case, I would take 2 break characters because you want that boss to be broken as quickly as possible so you can do as much damage as possible. You want that boss to be broken. The boss not being broken, you fighting him just raw like that, it's so annoying. It is so annoying. So just make sure that you have break characters. I put 2 because they help me break the boss quickly. If you have Lim is amazing here. He shreds the break gauge in an instant. Like it literally depletes like half of it by himself, right? So he's amazing here because if they have type disadvantage versus you and your break character, you break better, right? So just keep that in mind. Lim is amazing for this stage, and then Lee Bora or Min, and then have another break character. I don't care who it is. It doesn't have to be anybody specific. It could be Seo, it could be Emma, it could be anybody that has a break on their QTE, okay? Or not QTE, excuse me, their support skill. And then of course your shadows, just use what you got. Everybody's got Igris, just use Igris. If you're not using Igris and you want to use blades because you have blades, use blades. It's not a big changer. And that's about it. So I'm gonna just get straight into it, and then I'm gonna show you how I do this boss. Right? So hopefully I get this boss on the first try, because sometimes it does take me some time to redo it because he's annoying sometimes, and I just don't dodge everything. Like naturally, if you play the full game on auto, then you don't have to do what I do. Like I keep my shadows auto and all that stuff, and I don't activate them myself. I just let the game do. Right? So I start off and I let the boss hit me. Right? I get the damage increase. Sometimes you might need to take the other damage, like this one as well. And then I just spam all my break characters as soon as possible to get as much break as possible. And then that is when I apply the damage taken and start using my weapon skills. No. And over here, as you can see, I died because I made a fatal mistake. Whenever he does his jump and lifts into the air and starts spinning, you want to dodge that attack, because the more times that he hits you, the more likely you are to get bleed. And not bleed, excuse me, poison. And poison does an insane amount of damage. If you're anywhere within 3,000 HP, you're going to die from 3 stacks of bleed. Poison, excuse me. No, I keep saying that. But anyways, attack. I still don't have the damage increase, so I'm gonna take another hit. I use both of my breakers, and then now I inflict the debuff on him. Right? I attack a little bit, just to get him to attack me, dodge, and then I use my skill, my first skill. Remember, whatever skill this is, if it's not make sure the first skill that you use is not your dark skill, unless you're using 2 dark weapons, right? Then he comes here, you dodge this attack, right? So then you can instantly get in and close the gap. Do as much damage as possible, and as you can see, I made another mistake. Usually when you get to this part where he goes all the way to the end of the room, you want to make sure that you teleport as quickly as possible to him, because if you don't, at times when you do attack him, he will turn around and he will auto lock on you and hit you with every single attack that he has, right? So I do apologize if I'm making it look a little bit more difficult than normal. I'm not used to actually fighting this boss and talking about it at the same time. But once again, we just wait for him to attack, and then we dodge. Right? We use all our skills because he's focused on the mobs. As you can see, he turned to me. See, sometimes it just gets really iffy. But overall, just keep trying to spam your break characters as much as possible. He's about to attack, dodge this attack, and then do your shadow step. And then you can do your skill, and just keep attacking him as quickly as possible. Just keep going. Don't stop. Make sure you're attacking him non-stop. And then and if you feel like you're gonna get hit or something, just dodge, bro. Trust me, there's been so many times where you just get hit and you could have dodged it because you just keep attacking. You're better off just dodging the attack instead of just, trying to get all your hits off. Don't be careless. Just be cautious. Okay? And normally when he does this and you've been attacking him a lot, he does it twice. So it actually does get really annoying. At times like this as well, I'd like to note when he does use this skill, if you do have your ult, you can use your ult at the last second where he actually pushes the sword down into the ground. And what that does is it actually resets it. So he actually won't slam his sword into the ground and you basically cancel it out. It's actually really insane. It's a very clutch tactic. I probably won't be able to showcase it to you here in this video, but you can do that if you do get the timing right. And this is back. So dodge, wait a little bit, and then you teleport. And you go ham, he's about to attack. Dodge. Always make sure you're dodging. Don't be afraid to stop attacking and dodge, because you will die. And then the run will be over. Okay, as you can see, I just wasted 3 dodges for no reason. And then he's gonna go again. Usually on the second time he does this, when he's enraged, he spawns on you, right? And then that's when you get him. You tear him apart. Right? Now he's broken. There's no way he lives this now, right? And you just go crazy on him. Just keep attacking him. You're doing this attack, dodge him, just take your time. Normally I do this in like, you know, I still beat him with like 1 minute left, stuff like that. Normally I do this with like 1 minute left, but you know, it's a little bit difficult for me, as I said before, to actually explain the boss and what kind of things you can do to avoid the boss. And I kind of just get a little bit overwhelmed and trying to focus on 2 things at once, explaining and just trying to do it. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm just here trying to showcase how it is and how I do it. And that's tier 8. Now, you could just, you know, get a little bit creative and incorporate these into your own tactics. But that's how I go about them. How I dodge the boss and what I do to get out the way of the boss's attacks, how I go through it, take my time. The most lethal thing is, like, I know you're trying to do as much damage as possible, because the more damage you do, you're less likely to run out of time. But trust me, you got to be like perfect gaming, dodging everything to be playing like that. But if you're not like one of those people who can like perfectly dodge everything with the perfect timing, without stopping and attacking, I recommend that you just take it easy, slow down a little bit, and then start dodging those attacks that are lethal, right? And I say those attacks that are lethal, but like realistically, 90% of his attacks are lethal. If he gets like 3 bleeds on you and you only got 3k HP, you're done for. It's over. You without min, you're definitely gonna die from bleed, poison. No, I keep saying bleed. But anyways, that's how I do tier 8 Igris. Hopefully this helps you do your own tiers, and maybe even tier 8 if you're up there. Let me know how it goes and what characters you're planning on using as your supports for this mission. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this video helps you. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.